But anyway, back to Spare. Kinsey Schofield joins us. She is, of course, our royal commentator, our own royal correspondent. She's just a commentator. We own her. It's Kinsey Schofield, founder of todiefordaily.com. Do you mind being owned by us?
Christo, I love you so much. You know it's you or no one else.
Thank you. That was the right answer. I see you've been being a bit unfaithful lately, but I hope I'm your number one still.
Did you see that when I wrote my column or my little article for The Express, I talked about how I was on Christo's show? I didn't mention anybody else's show I was on.
I didn't see that, but I will look for that now. Oh, well, okay, you are well and truly redeemed, because, of course, if you... I mean, you might have written an article in The Express saying that you love me. However, I still will find something to put in a tell-all memoir, perhaps a look that I didn't like, perhaps, I don't know, at the age of 28, you'll have turned my bedroom into a dressing room.
I'm pretty sure the first time we met, I was wearing bike shorts and you probably saw cellulite. So there you go. If that's what, if you need the dirt, there's your dirt.
Well, babes, you know, if we ever did a cellulite comparison, I'd be off the scale. Now, talking of body parts and body issues, let's talk about the pre-wedding dinner that is outlined in Prince Harry's book, where he has dinner with the then Prince Charles and Prince William before he marries Catherine. And he talks about his jitters, and he says, I regaled the company with tales of the North Pole during this dinner. Pa was very interested, Pa being Prince Charles, and sympathetic about the discomfort of my frost-nipped ears and cheeks. And it was an effort not to overshare and tell him about my equally tender penis. Upon arriving home, I'd been horrified to discover that my nether regions were frost-nipped as well. And while the ears and cheeks were already healing, the todger wasn't. It was becoming more of an issue by the day. I don't know why I should have been reluctant to discuss my penis with Pa or all the gentlemen present. My penis was a matter of public record, and indeed some public curiosity. The press had written about it extensively. There were countless stories in books and papers about Willie and me not being circumcised. Mummy had forbidden it, they all said. And while it's absolutely true that the chance of getting penile frostbite is much greater if you're not circumcised, all the stories were false. I was snipped as a baby. He then goes on. You think that that's the end of him?
No, it's not.
Talking about, but he goes on to talk about the extensive treatment that he had about his penis. You know, he talks about all of these different people that he'd had to go and see about it. He'd been trying Elizabeth Arden 8-hour cream on it.
He was very vocal about his remedies, Christo. Very vocal.
I can't find the bit about the remedies. What did he try? Oh, here we go.
I mean,
here we go. I found it.
Right,
He went to see a doctor about it, a name and address given by a friend. He was taken into a back door into the office. This is the penis clinic. And he sat behind, the doctor sat behind a wooden desk, presumably looking at notes about the previous patient. I walked in. I watched him writing for what seemed like an inordinate long time. The poor chap who went before me, I thought, must have had a lot going on. Still not looking up, the doctor ordered me to step behind the curtain, take off my clothes. He'd be with me in a moment. I went behind, stripped, hopped onto the examination table. 5 minutes passed. At last, the curtain pulled back, and there was the doctor. He looked at me, he blinked once, and said, "Oh, I see, it's you." Yes. I thought you'd been warned, but I get the sense you hadn't. Right, so you're here. Right, OK, it's you. Remind me of the problem? I showed him my todger, softened by Elizabeth Arden.
Oh.
He couldn't see anything. Nothing to see, I explained. It was an invisible scourge. For whatever reason, my particular case of frostnip manifested as a greatly heightened sensation. How did it happen, he wanted to know. North Pole, I told him. I went to the North Pole, and now my South Pole is on the fritz. His face said, curiouser and curiouser. I described the cascading dysfunctions. Everything's difficult, doctor. Sitting, walking. Sex, I added, was out of the question. Worse, my todger constantly felt it was having sex, or ready to. I was sort of losing it, I told him. I'd made the mistake of Googling this injury, and I'd read horror stories about partial penectomies, a phrase you never want to come across when Googling your symptoms. The doctor assured me it would be unlikely I'd need one of those. Unlikely? He said he was going to try and rule out other things. He gave me a full examination, which was more than invasive. No stone unturned, so to speak. The likeliest cure, he announced at last, would be time. What do you mean, time? Time, he said, heals. Really, Doc? That hasn't been my experience. And by saying that, he's actually referring to the stress and the lack of healing over the death of his mother.
Right. And he's, that's also on top of that. He mentions while putting the Elizabeth Arden cream on the todger, feeling Diana's presence in the room. I wonder how many people went over this with this man and high-fived him afterwards and said, great job. This sounds totally kosher. Christo, he talks about his wiener over 15 times in this book.
He does. Let me just read you that bit. You have just referred to it. Would you like to hear that bit?
Yeah, of course.
Basically, my penis was oscillating between... This is before he'd gone to the doctor. My penis was oscillating between extremely sensitive and borderline traumatized. I know how it feels. There's the one time I've got something in common with Harry's penis. I'm borderline traumatized. The last place I wanted to be was Frostnipistan. Mildly racist. I'd been trying some home remedies, including one recommended by a friend. She'd urged me to apply Elizabeth Arden cream. My mum used that on her lips. You want me to put that on my todger? It works, Harry. Trust me, said the friend. I found a tube, and the minute I opened it, the smell transported me through time. I felt as if my mother was right there in the room. Then I took a smidge and applied it down there. Weird doesn't really do the feeling justice. So his mother was in the room with him while he was applying 8-hour cream to his penis. Before then, he compared the fact that the doctor told him it would take time to heal his penis with the fact that the time hadn't healed his angst over his mother's death. I'm sure Diana, years ago, when thinking of how she might be immortalised by the writings of her children, would have been thrilled to know that she took such centre stage when it came to Harry's penis problems.
Oh my, I mean, I think we said this last week. Too much of this sounds like parody, and it's real. It's really, really, really real. Everything Christo just read you is not a joke.
No.
That's actually in the book.
It's absolutely... I'm reading directly from the book. It is quite staggering. I mean, I've got so many sections here. What were the other standout ones? Now you've read it cover to cover, because last week we were doing it sort of based on what had been reported. But what have you actually... now you've seen it cover to cover, what have been the sections? Someone's just texted me, by the way, just saying the word sick.
Exactly. Let me just say something that I'm kind of embarrassed to say.
Okay.
If this were just like a bitter guy, okay, so let's pretend if this was Randy Spelling writing about his family, Tori Spelling, like if this were about another dynasty that I weren't completely committed to and completely in love with, I think I would eat this up. I mean, minus all the wiener talk. I think that definitely not. Definitely not. Perhaps
not the most appropriate expression when you're talking about.
I apologize. This is a family show.
I think we passed. I think the family line was passed about 20 minutes ago. But anyway, go on.
But because I'm so in love with this family, I am very protective of them. And so I can't just consume it. I couldn't just consume it as like enjoying the gossip, enjoying the drama, because I was like, oh, I can't believe he's putting this out there. But if this were about any other dynasty that I didn't love the way I do, I think I would be really interested in it. And I actually thought at the beginning of the book, I'm a little hard on Harry, but oh gosh, I keep saying things that are that sound inappropriate when we're talking about the Wang. But I thought that the stuff about Diana was sincerely sad.
Yeah, I think it's really okay. Let's talk about the bits of the book where actually you think it's fair and reasonable. I think it's really difficult. I think you'd have to have a heart of stone to not feel desperately sad for the way in which he misses his mother and the trauma that he still feels over her death. Without a doubt, that's a part of the book that's really sad. And actually, the part of the book that I was expecting to be the most angry at him about, which is the final section where he outlines the issues that him and...
Welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales. I'm your host, Kelly, and today we're diving into the real story behind Prince Harry's memoir, Spare. The book is making headlines for its raw honesty, but let's not forget, the media always finds a way to twist Harry's truths into tabloid fodder. From candid admissions about his youth to deeply personal moments, the Duke of Sussex is bearing it all. Yet figures like Kinsey Schofield on TalkTV are using it as ammunition for cheap commentary. Let's break it all down. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, captivated the world. It wasn't just a royal tell-all. It was a raw, honest look at a life lived under constant scrutiny. The media, as expected, went into a frenzy. Headlines screamed, judgments were passed, and Harry's words were twisted. But amidst the noise, something powerful emerged, Harry's truth in his own words. He was finally breaking free from the cage of silence, reclaiming his narrative. It takes courage to be vulnerable, especially when the world is watching. Harry's willingness to share his struggles, his pain, and his moments of doubt is a testament to his strength. He doesn't shy away from difficult topics like his mother's death, his experiences with therapy, or his use of cocaine. This is not about scandal. This is about a man confronting his demons and sharing his journey with the world. The media often reduces complex narratives to sensational soundbites. They did it with Princess Diana, and they're doing it with Harry. Take, for instance, Harry's admission of cocaine use. Instead of seeing it within the larger context of his grief and search for escape, it was splashed across tabloids as a shocking revelation. The same goes for his account of losing his virginity. A deeply personal experience was turned into fodder for gossip, stripping it of its meaning and reducing Harry to a caricature. What gets lost in the media frenzy is the honesty and vulnerability behind Harry's words. He doesn't glorify his mistakes. He owns them. He talks about the awkwardness of losing his virginity, the shame he felt after using cocaine, and the anger he grappled with after his mother's death. This is not the picture of a privileged prince living a charmed life. This is a human being, flawed and real, sharing his story with courage and authenticity. Despite the heavy subject matter, Harry's memoir is also laced with humour. He recounts the infamous frostbite incident with a self-deprecating wit that disarms the reader. Imagine a prince dealing with a rather embarrassing bodily malfunction and having the courage to share it with the world. He doesn't take himself too seriously, even when recounting moments of deep personal struggle. This humour is not a defence mechanism. It's a reflection of Harry's resilience. It's his way of saying, yes, life throws curveballs even to princes, but we pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off and find a way to laugh along the way. This ability to find light in the darkness, to embrace humour even in the face of adversity, is what makes Harry so relatable. Section 4. Missing the mark. A deeper message ignored. Sadly, some, like Piers Morgan and Kinsey Schofield, seem to have missed the point entirely. They criticise Harry for airing his dirty laundry, for betraying the royal family, for seeking attention. What they fail to see is the bigger picture. Harry's story is not just about him. It's about the suffocating nature of royal life, the relentless pressure of the British tabloid culture, and the importance of mental health. Harry's memoir is a challenge to the status quo. It's a refusal to play by the rules that have silenced so many within the royal institution. He's not just sharing his truth, he's dismantling a system that thrives on secrecy and silence. He's saying we are not robots, we are human beings with feelings and experiences that deserve to be heard. Section 5. Join the conversation. Embrace Harry's truth. I urge you to read Spare with an open heart and an open mind. Look beyond the headlines, the gossip and the noise. Listen to Harry's words, feel his pain, and celebrate his courage. Engage in meaningful conversations about the issues he raises: mental health, media scrutiny, and the pressure to conform. Share your thoughts, your interpretations, and your own experiences. Let's create a space where vulnerability is met with empathy, where honesty is valued, and where everyone feels safe to share their truth. Let's support Harry in his journey, and in doing so, encourage others to break free from their own cages of silence. Section 6. A new chapter. Rewriting the royal narrative. Harry's story is still being written. He's no longer defined by his royal title or the expectations that come with it. He's charting his own course, embracing fatherhood, advocating for mental health, and challenging outdated traditions. His journey is an inspiration, a reminder that we all have the power to redefine ourselves and create our own happily ever after. Let's celebrate Harry's courage, his resilience, and his unwavering commitment to authenticity. Let's embrace this new chapter in his life, not with judgment or criticism, but with open hearts and open minds. For in his truth, we may find the courage to embrace our own. Thanks for tuning in to Meghan and Harry Tales. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. Let's keep celebrating truth, courage, and the Sussexes' incredible journey. Until next time, take care. Take